we'll be flying on a Singapore Airlines A330 from Perth to Singapore. Singapore Airlines is the most expensive economy airline on the Perth to Singapore route. But will good service make up for the high cost? Well, let's have a look. When we got to the terminal, most people had already checked in, so we had about half an hour airside once we had cleared customs. Around 5:30 AM the airport was pretty quiet, with flights only going to Bali, Dubai and Singapore, which is where I'm headed off to today. After looking around the terminal and at a camera I was going to buy, but didn't, it was time to board the flight to Singapore. Here you go.
Thank you. Enjoy the flight, thank you.
Alright. I really appreciate the windows on each level of the staircase. They're good for knowing if the plane is left without you, maybe? Well, it's still there, that's good.
A little bit better.
On the Aero Bridge they gave out earphones and there's free magazines and newspapers on the trolley. Hello.
Cross and turn right, please.
Welcome to business class on the Singapore Airlines A330. There are 30 seats in this cabin, laid out in a 222 configuration, which is not the standard these days, but okay for a 5-hour flight. As this was filmed all the way back in Christmas, the cabin was Christmas themed, with decorations and music to suit the event. And this is economy, with 255 seats in a standard 242 layout, well except at the back.
You want the
35k. Here is my seat 35k, and as usual it has a window. Already on my seat was a blanket and a pillow. Something that definitely sets Singapore Airlines apart is the hot towel service, but I really shouldn't have been filming it while it was still hot because it doesn't stay that way for very long.
Welcome aboard Singapore Airlines. As the safety equipment on this aircraft may differ from that on other aircraft, please give us your attention as we bring you through this important safety briefing and on a journey through Singapore.
This safety video pretty much follows the same concept as Qantas's one, but in my opinion it's better.
Ensure that your tray table is stowed away. Put the back of your seat upright and keep your shoes in the seat belt.
Breakfast was a choice between stir-fried chicken or a mushroom and cheese omelette. Which one would you choose? Answer in the poll in the top right corner.
Singapore Airlines, we hope you have a great time on board as well as in Singapore or anywhere.
Thanks for asking, but we might not be having a great time if that keeps happening.
Reminder to ensure that your seatbelt is securely fastened and your window shades are drawn up.
take a look at all the bits and bobs on this seat. Here is the in-flight entertainment screen, which appears to be not Wait, that's right, this is not a touchscreen for some reason, even though this plane was delivered in 2014. So you have to use the system with the remote, which is rather confusing. Finding your way around the system was hard, and I always found myself back to the help screen, which was followed by an annoying ad for a watch. This has to be one of the worst in-flight entertainment screens I've ever used. There was a good selection of TV shows and movies, so that was good at least. Beside that is a composite AV port, yes, the same one used in the Wii and old VCRs. There was also an outdated iPod port and a USB port. I believe that's supposed to be a coat hook, and this was a very handy storage area, and a drink holder which was very helpful. This is the tray table with a mirror for staring at yourself, and another cup holder. Folded over and we have a nice big area for eating, and a notch which reminds me too much of old primary school desks. Inside the seat pocket was a waste bag, an in-flight entertainment guide which is probably far more easy to use than the remote, Singapore Airlines in-flight magazine called Silver Chris, and the Chris Shop magazine which features some great prices. Under the seat there is a universal power point. You can identify it by its green light. And if you need proof that it's working, just trust me, it works. It's time to settle in. Let's get out the headset, which happens to be earbuds. I prefer these over the cheap over-ear headphones that most airlines offer. These cancel out the most noise, which I believe is most important when flying. Next step to getting comfy is taking out the blanket. This wasn't anything special. I don't find blankets to be very useful on planes, but I used it anyway because it was there. As we were passing by Monkey Mire, it was time for breakfast. I got the stir-fried chicken noodles, which came with fruit, a bread roll, juice, a mug for coffee, yogurt with real vanilla at last, actual real metal cutlery, which is appreciated, milk, butter, jam, and the meal itself. Not sure about you, but this doesn't look too bad. Time to get out my real metal cutlery and start eating. If I wave my cutlery up and down, it means I enjoyed it. Oh, I think I enjoyed it. Let's try the noodles. Well, I think I enjoyed that too. Let's take my juice out of the awful plastic cup and put it in the glass cup. Now that the meal is done, I'll finish off with yogurt and fruit salad. That's what I'd call a decent meal. Well done, Singapore Airlines. It was time for me to go to the toilet, so I thought I'd take you with me. Well, we've made it to the toilets. Let me take you on a toilet tour. Here we have something written in French, and luckily I do know some French. I know or EAU is water, and toilette is toilet, although I'm not sure what de is. Well, then it must be toilet water. Created exclusively for Singapore Airlines. And this just seems to be moisturising hand wash. In here we have that. There's a comb, and there's also some toothbrushes. And this is the mouthwash. No, you're not the only one that thought it was soap. Before I left, I took a comb and a toothbrush as souvenirs, used the toilet, and headed back to my seat. Throughout the flight, drinks were offered, but not from the full bar selection. About half an hour before landing preparations, they offered the full selection of drinks and a packet of mixed nuts. I really did expect more, and I'll discuss that more in the end of the video.
On behalf of Captain and the rest of the crew, I'd like to thank you for choosing Singapore Airlines, and we hope to see you again in the near future.
The plane is about to start descending, so I'll give you my final thoughts while watching the plane land in Singapore. After taking this flight, I could definitely see why lots of people love Singapore Airlines. Their service and crew is at a level well above most other airlines. The food on this flight was great, however I did expect a bit more than nuts at the end of the flight. The entertainment selection was great, however the system was not touchscreen and therefore hard to use. Overall, I'd give this flight an 8 out of 10. But stick around to the end of the video when I compare this flight to all the other airlines operating this exact route.
Welcome to Singapore, ladies and gentlemen, and to all Singaporeans and residents of Singapore, a warm welcome home.
After landing, we had a very enjoyable drive around the airport while listening to Christmas carols. And we're here. Thanks Singapore Airlines for a great journey, but coming up I'll compare all the airlines on the Perth to Singapore route. So let's go. The two other airlines that fly on the Perth to Singapore route are Scoot and Qantas. Scoot is a budget airline and therefore cannot be compared. Although I did do a review on it a couple years ago, and I have a new one coming soon, so stay tuned. Which leaves Qantas. So how does that compare to Singapore Airlines? Apart from being the cheaper option, Qantas in my opinion has better catering on this flight. Well, you might not get metal cutlery, but you do get more meal choices, more food, lots of snacks throughout the flight, and you can even pre-order your food. The entertainment system is touchscreen and therefore easier to use, and you even have a chance of getting free Wi-Fi on your flight. Then what does Singapore Airlines do better? Firstly, when going Singapore Airlines you get a wide-body aircraft, which has more legroom, headroom, seat width, and more toilets. On Singapore Airlines you're guaranteed an entertainment screen. It's not that you're definitely not going to get one on Qantas, it's just that only a third of all Qantas 737s have entertainment, although they do make sure the planes with screens head up to Singapore. Singapore Airlines also fit more content on their screens. Although the main deciding factor may be that Singapore Airlines have 4 flights a day instead of 2 Qantas flights around the same time of day. So in conclusion, if the price is better on Qantas, definitely do book it. Although if you value more space or more flight frequencies, then Singapore Airlines will be the better deal for you. Anyway, that's it from me. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked this mini airline comparison, let me know and I may do more in the future. Feel free to continue watching by clicking on one of my other videos on the screen and hopefully I'll see you there.